March 14, 2012, my son Thomas lost his battle with the disease of addiction. I now belong to a club that no parent should ever belong to. Do you know the signs? Do you know the trends that children are doing in today's world? Do you know the signs and symptoms? Do you know the signs and symptoms of drug abuse? I want to empower and educate Long Islanders by bringing a force of professionals and how to prevent the disease of addiction. Long Island in Crisis. Good evening and welcome to Long Island in Crisis. This show is dedicated to empowering and educating parents and family members on the disease of addiction. So if anyone you know in your family or friends is struggling with the disease of addiction, you found the right show. I unfortunately lost my son 3 years ago. So the disease of addiction knows no boundaries. It doesn't discriminate. It will come and surprise you, and it's take you on a road to hell, quite honestly. Tonight, my special guest is Millie Garofolo, and she is a clinical social worker. She's also an attorney, but she doesn't practice law anymore. And she's just a really good friend. And I am proud to serve on FIST, Families in Supportive Treatment with Millie. And the really awesome thing about Millie is Millie's family, thank God, does not struggle with the disease of addiction, but she got involved because everyone needs to be involved. Everyone needs to step up in their own communities, and we need to do everything and anything to help this next generation of kids that we are losing one child a day or one family member a day. Someone is going to wake up tomorrow morning without their loved one, and that is unacceptable. So I commend you, Millie, on stepping up and just doing what you can, because it does affect you.
It does. What I like to say is it hasn't affected my family yet, right, because there's no guarantee it's not going to. I imagine if someone asked you 6 years ago, you would not have ever thought that it would have affected you.
Absolutely.
So you really don't know. And it's a fight for all of us.
It is a fight for all of us. And it just keeps growing. You take 3 steps forward and 5 steps back, right. I just feel like. You know, everything can change, but we have to start really, my heart now goes to changing. Doing, you know, a lot of parents or people don't like to hear the word prevention. Right. Is addiction 100% preventable? In a perfect world, it is. Right. But if we empower our young ones, and that goes to the age of 8, 9, 10, really starting. Agreed, right. Then we stand a much better chance. But if we don't start there, right, 5 years from now, we're going to be worse off than we are today. That is truly my belief. Right. Because we have to educate those children, and we have to empower them to know what they're going to get involved with. Right. You know, and how preventable it is, it's hard to say, but we have to do everything we can. We have to use every tool in the toolbox. Right. Everything. And until we do that, we can't say. We can't say that something didn't work. Right. Right. Because speaking in all the places that I speak to with people in treatment, right, the overwhelming age, because I always ask them the question, if you could speak to yourself, go back and speak to yourself, what age would you be? Right. 12 years old. Right. And that still boggles my mind. Some say 10. Right. Right. Some say it's getting younger. As soon as I tasted, you know, Poppy's wine, right, I liked it. Right. And that's crazy. Right. I hear you. Yep. You know, and we had Sarah Smith and Stephen Dodge here who did exactly that. Sarah tasted her grandparents' wine, and knew she was going to be an alcoholic at the age of 10.
Wow. Wow.
Steve not knew that she would be an alcoholic, but knew that she
wanted more. Yeah.
She wanted more.
Right.
And Stephen the same thing.
Right.
Sip a beer and said, I want more of that.
Right. That's why prevention's so important in how we present ourselves as parents to our kids.
Absolutely. So, you know, how do you have a 5-year-old's birthday party?
Right.
Does it always include alcohol for the adults?
Right.
You know, and I'm not going to police anybody or say that's wrong or that's bad, because I don't suffer with the disease of addiction. So can I have a glass of wine? Yes, I can. But how I show myself to everyone else, to little people watching.
Right.
Because 1.5-year-old babies know how to swipe your iPhone.
Yeah, they're watching.
They're watching everything that you do.
Right.
And they will emulate at some point in time.
Right. Agreed.
So be the example that you want seen
right.
by everybody else.
Right.
But tonight I really want to talk about, we're coming into a very difficult time of the year for a lot of people, myself included.
Right.
Coming up on another holiday season, and many families will have an empty chair at their table.
Right.
And siblings struggle with it, although they may do it silently.
Right.
But parents coming into this season, it's not easy.
Right.
And you want to be there, and and we, even going over to my family's house and seeing my nieces and nephews, I'm so excited to see them.
But it triggers something.
But I'm so sad that my son's not there.
Right, of course.
So, you know, it's a fine line that you walk.
Right.
And it's not that I don't want to see them, but sometimes I just don't want to see them.
Right. Understandable. And I think that's a huge thing, because I think that a lot of people maybe don't want to put themselves in your place or think about what it feels like to be you, and they kind of want you to kind of be fine, have it over with, and you're okay. We're going to have, we're going to have Christmas. It's going to be fine.
Right.
And it's not fine for you.
It's not fine.
Right. And it never will be, really, right?
No, it's always going to be different.
Right.
Life is still good, and
right.
I have to be that example for the rest of my family, for my
you
children.
Are. You are.
And life is still good.
Right.
But as life is good,
right.
there's that part of me that says, oh, he would have loved this.
I know.
I would have loved to seen him love this.
Right. What would he say?
What would he say? I would love just to hear that laugh.
Right.
You know, just to see him interact with his siblings.
Right.
Because that hole is missing,
right.
that hole is there. That piece is missing for their interaction.
Yeah, and I think with grief, a lot of people don't realize that how long of a process it is, and, how hard it is, and how many stages, how many changes, are made throughout the grieving process, where even maybe last year you might have been a little bit different than you are this year.
Every year it changes.
Right. And I think...
Every day it changes.
Right.
I can honestly say that.
Right.
I mean, every day it changes.
I would imagine. Right?
It's, and I fortunately have allowed myself, and I think having the faith that I have also,
right.
but I also just allow myself, if I'm having a bad day, I just sit through it.
Right.
I can't, jump ahead of it.
Right.
I can't ignore it.
Right.
It's going to happen. So how I let it happen,
right,
is totally up to me.
Right.
So if I say, no, it's fine, I'm not going to do this, grief and is going to come out, right. Whether you want it to or not.
Yes.
It will manifest itself in illness, I think, in a lot of other things.
Right.
That may not be the
physical
healthy
reactions.
Right.
Absolutely. Right.
So I can either sit and cry and let it out.
Right.
And scream and do whatever it is that I feel like doing.
Right.
Then I usually, I always feel better.
Yeah, I mean, the only way to heal, as much as you can heal from something like this, is through it. Not around it, not over it, not sweeping it under here, not putting it to the side, not pushing it down. And it's hard because I think in general, as a society, we don't want to feel negative emotions.
Right.
Who does, you know? And we have kind of a belief that everything's supposed to be happy and okay and great all the time. But it's not. And there are great happy moments, and we need to feel that too. But you need to let yourself feel it and go with it. I think our brain really does protect us in a lot of ways, and it guides us.
Yes.
To what we can do and what we can't, and our heart too, you know? So that's why we don't sit down when somebody dies and grieve it all in one moment, because you can't we can't grasp it.
No, you can't.
All in one moment.
And so and I think if you could, your mind would explode.
Exactly.
Your brain would explode.
Exactly.
You know, I know for myself, I don't go to wakes anymore.
Right.
I can't.
Got it. Understandable, right?
So I just don't. I don't. It doesn't matter.
Right.
If someone thinks I should be there, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Right.
It's what I'm personally capable of handling for myself.
Right.
It's a very bad place for me to go.
And you're a very strong woman, and you are in touch with your needs. So, you know, it's really important to be that way. And, you know, like, there are people out there that are grieving, but worried about what other people are going to say and think and do. And there are other people that sometimes will tell us, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that, come on, we need you, da-da-da-da-da. And they won't allow themselves to let it happen the way they need to.
And I think that's such a great statement that you just said. So if I could say anything to anybody going through what I'm going through is, don't allow anybody to judge you.
Right.
You know exactly what you need at any given moment in
time.
You
do know if you pay attention to it, and not everybody else, right?
And not everybody else.
Right.
I had a woman one time who doesn't really know me.
Right.
And it was 3 months after Tom died. And I didn't want to shop in my own hometown. I didn't want to see anybody.
Right, right.
But I had to run in to get something. And someone said to me, you know, it's been a few months. You really need to, you know, move on.
Right.
And I couldn't even believe what I was hearing.
Right.
So I just turned around and very calmly said, is that what you did when you lost your child? Well, I haven't lost my child. I go, oh. And I said some maybe other things that I won't say now. But I remember the store manager walking me out, and I said, I guess I'm not ready for the public. And he said, no, you're ready. They're not. And I said, wow, that was so insightful to me, because other people don't know how to deal with you.
Right.
So they want you to be okay.
Right, right. To make them okay.
To make them okay.
Right.
But my son was here, and he was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm not embarrassed of the way he died.
Right.
Because he had a disease.
I know.
So if anyone wants to criticize me or judge me, they can go right ahead.
Right.
Because I don't care. What other people think of me is none of my business.
Right.
And that's how I go through life.
Right.
Doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
And it seems that when there's grief involved, you know, people either don't know what to say. You can have a lot of different reactions from society, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where people don't say anything, all of a sudden they're not calling you.
Right.
You know? They're avoiding you. And then other times they're there, but they're saying things to try to fix it and heal it and make it all better, you know? Oh, he's in a better place, or, you know, whatever they're trying to do. But that might not be what you need to hear. And
by the way, no one ever needs to hear that.
Because that statement is dismissive of the fact that you want him here right now.
Exactly.
And that's what you're feeling. You're not thinking about anything else but that, but the loss. It's dismissing the loss.
It's right, to make that person feel better.
Right. And, you know, I've had clients come into my office that, you know, maybe lost somebody a year before, and man who lost his wife, and he'd be like, I'm supposed to be over this right now, right? Aren't I? No. But that's society's belief.
Yes.
That, you know, it's going to be over in a year. You know, you're going to, then you're done.
Right. There is no time limit. There is
and there's no done really, right?
No, but you know, just because Joe Smith down the block was over his wife's death, or seemingly over it,
right,
doesn't mean you're going to be.
Right. And then some people even question, what does over it mean? You know, I mean, maybe the person's doing busy work.
Right.
Maybe they look like they're doing okay, but they're not getting in touch with their emotions. So I've also had clients come in that are coming in for something completely different than grief. And then they'll bring up the fact that their mom died 7 years ago and start in the blink of an eye sobbing as if it was yesterday, because they've never done the work. They've just pushed it aside, and they've, you know, done busy work, kept busy, keep busy, keep busy. And keeping busy is good. It's a good coping skill. I'm not trying to say not, but you have to balance it.
You have to sit
with actually letting yourself feel it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think I was talking to you about logic versus emotion. So logically,
and
sitting
I'm
around.
Hold you on this note,
okay, go ahead.
And we're going to go to commercial, and we'll be right back.
Galaxy Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin. Galaxy Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin. Galaxy.
Welcome back to Long Island in Crisis and my special guest, Millie. So we're talking about the grieving process, logic versus emotion.
Right. So there are a lot of statements that people will make, and that even you may make to yourself, when you're grieving, which, might be, I need to get busy. I need to be busy. I need to get out of the house. Maybe I should not sit here and focus on this. A lot of logical things that kind of make sense. I mean, in other situations, oh, she lived a long life, or, you say all these things, but the logic gets in the way of the emotion sometimes. And we can't let that happen. You have to let the emotion come up. So when somebody else comes and says, you're doing better now, it's time now, you're doing better, and you think, oh, wow, I think I'm supposed to be like that. You might push it down or push the emotion aside. And you really need to find the balance. No one's saying that it's good to sit home and cry 24/7, right? That you may want to do.
Right. But the reality of doing that
isn't healthy.
Right.
So you do need to get up, get out, call a friend, find something.
Go for a walk. Do anything.
Right.
Just to get your body moving. Right.
But then there's other people that may say, be so busy that they're not processing any of it. And really the way to heal is to go through. That's the way you're going to go through
You
the
have
emotions.
to go through it. You have to.
Right.
For the first year, I liked being home.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what it was called until someone else was talking about it, and I had anxiety about not being. I just liked being home.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I liked being home, and I liked being alone, and I liked just being.
Right. So yeah, that's saying there's so many different reactions to grief. Everyone reacts differently, but there were some things that are common.
Right.
Right. So we know obviously sadness and denial and anger and all of those emotions that come up. But there are also anxiety that you may not think is connected. You may not even think the anger is connected. Right, right.
That's all I thought.
Right.
I didn't really give it a name.
Right.
I just knew that I went to work and I would do some things, but I really didn't like to be around a lot of people.
Right.
I just needed to be me. I just needed to be home.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And then you could have a lot of people coming to you and saying, come on, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this. But what you have to do is what your body and your mind and your heart are telling you.
And that's, I think, I practice yoga. Yeah. And I thank God that I practice yoga. Mm-hmm. So I know how to go to my breath.
Right.
And believe me, during the wake, everything else, I knew how to go to my breath.
Right.
Yoga just teaches you just to be in the moment that you're in at that moment in time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You don't, you never want to get attached to the really happy feelings.
Right.
And you can't get attached to the real sad feelings. You just have to be.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
As best as you can be.
Right. Right.
And just move through that.
Right. And, sometimes you see people, out on the street that are really, really, really angry, or, you're in the supermarket and someone's yelling or whatever, and you think, wow, what's going on? And a lot of times that can be somebody that's just lost somebody.
Oh, without a doubt.
That hasn't really been able to sit with their anger and process what's underneath it, the loss. What they're really angry at is the loss, but it can come out sideways.
Because you're not dealing with what you're feeling.
Unless you really take a look.
I deal with my clients in the public, in my business. Mm-hmm. So when mentoring other younger people that, especially with financial issues, well, they were I go, you have no idea what's going on in their life today or yesterday. Right. They could have had a fight with their spouse.
Right.
There's someone could have passed. Let it be. Let it go, and don't judge them.
Right.
Just let it, you know.
Right. I mean, you know, you're
That's
driving
all
down
you
the
can
street
do.
and driving down the road, and someone cuts you. You know, starts giving you, cursing at you, and freaking out that something happened. Usually, it's not really about that.
Right.
It's about something else.
It's about something.
And grief is so intense, and anger is such a part of it, that unless you really work on it, you know, and really when you talk about working on it, what you're talking about is talking about it.
Absolutely.
Telling somebody I'm angry. You know, I know a lot of times people feel that, well, who am I going to tell? I can't keep calling somebody and telling them about this. Well, then that's the time to go seek out counseling and help.
Absolutely.
You know, groups are phenomenal for grief. It's just nothing like it to sit with somebody else that's been in the same place you've been in.
I think it's really important if you're going to seek out a group then too, even with Al-Anon or any of the other programs.
Right.
You need to find the group that you personally connect with.
I agree, that feels right.
Because some of the groups do things differently.
Right.
You know, there are grief groups that celebrate your loved one's birthday, this, that, and it's bringing you back.
Right, may not be the right thing
It's just not.
for you.
It's not the right fit.
Right.
You know, so
I agree.
you need to really search out who you're comfortable with. You're going to find someone that you resonate with always.
Right.
But you need to be diligent and do your work and find that group.
Right. And that's, you know, interesting. And that means that even if you go to a group and you start there and you feel like this isn't right, you have the right to not keep going.
You don't have to. It's a group. You can say, you know what, not really. I'm going to try other places.
Right.
And you will find your chemistry.
Right. And you hope that the person that, you know, sets up the group has, you know, checked in with people and make sure that the members are appropriate for the group, and maybe at the same kind of time that they've lost the person, or maybe some similar losses going on, or just the supportive people.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's really, because grief is grief.
Grief is grief, although, you know, I've had people say to me, you know, I lost my dog, so I know how you feel. Not really.
Okay, got it, right.
You know, or, you know, my 90-year-old mom just passed. And I've lost both my parents. And it's much different.
Right.
You are never supposed to outlive your child. It's just not natural.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's just much, much different.
That's
and
why
I'm
you've
not,
connected.
I don't want to minimize that person's loss of their parent.
Right.
But it is a natural, you know, it's a natural event that's going to happen in your lifetime.
Absolutely, right.
You are going to lose your parents.
And this is not supposed to happen.
And this is never supposed to happen.
And that's why you've connected with so many great people.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And support each other.
Yes. And we can all be in the same group. Someone can be laughing, crying, screaming. You can be wherever you are in that moment in time, and no one's going to criticize you.
Right.
Because we all know how you feel. Because I can go through those emotions in 5 minutes.
Right, right.
All of them.
And you also know what other people need, you know?
Yes.
You know what you need. I mean, obviously we're all different, so you may not need exactly the same thing, but, you know, you were saying a hug.
A hug. So what do you say to someone? You don't say anything.
Right.
Just give them a hug.
Right.
It says everything you ever need to say.
It does, doesn't it?
Without speaking.
Right.
And I still can remember that not even a close friend of mine, but when she saw me,
right,
her eyes filled with tears, and she gave me a hug, and that meant more to me than anything that anyone could ever say.
Right.
Because she said it all with her eyes and with her hug.
Right. Yeah.
You know, as a parent to a parent, don't try to minimize, you know, take a step back and say, oh, I can't even imagine. No, you can't even imagine.
No, you can't.
And go with that.
Right, exactly. exactly.
And say those words. I cannot even imagine what you're going through.
And one thing I love about all the women that I've met, with you guys, is you've all been so warm to me. I remember I said to somebody, I can't imagine. And the person said, don't even try. And, they were protecting me.
Oh, absolutely. Because there's no way for you to imagine.
I know, I got it. I got it. It was such a warm thing, though, because it was so much like, why would you? Don't do that. You don't want to be here.
And that's what I always say. I don't want any more members of my club.
Right. I know.
Because it's a club that no parent ever wants to belong to.
Right. So one of the great things that you've done, and all the other women that I've met, is you've channeled this pain into strength and into activism.
Yes.
Into action. And that's really healing and great. It may not work for everybody, right?
It doesn't work for everybody.
Right. But,
and that's okay.
Right.
Sometimes people just need to be in the group and be inclusive.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you may have a voice.
Right.
But whatever you decide, there's no judgment.
Right. That's the key.
There's no judgment.
Right.
You do what you're capable of doing every day of the week, and that's all we can hope for.
Right.
We'll be right back after this message.
Hi, I'm Tatiana, and I'm a person in long-term recovery from heroin addiction. It was really, really hard, waking up in the morning, not knowing what to do, needing my next bag. I was so lost, but I'm here today to tell you that there is a solution. When I was in my active addiction, I didn't realize that there was another way of life. I thought that that was the only way, because it felt so good to get high, but it was all an illusion, and I didn't realize that. But today, being 4 years clean and sober, my life is absolutely amazing. I'm able to travel, I don't need a drink, I don't need a drug. I'm just happy being with myself. I couldn't understand for many years why was I doing this? It's because I was an addict, but I didn't know it. Today, many kids are becoming addicted to drugs and alcohol, but they don't know exactly what they're getting into until they're out of it. And it's our job, it's my job, to stand for these kids, stand for their recovery, and fight for their addiction. So I'm the president of Onward Forever, and I provide recovery services and support. And we're here to help. We're here to just listen. Anything that we can do to help. If you need me, this is how you get a hold of me. Please call 347-244-1550. 347-244-1550. I developed this company to help you, our families, and our community to fight this crisis on Long Island and in our nation. Thank you.
Stretching under sedation, or manipulation under anesthesia, is a very gentle, very precise procedure to very slowly release any scar tissue that is formed as a result of a traumatic injury. Many people ask, how does this work? Will I get hurt? Will you stretch me too far? We only stretch the body part to its normal range of motion. After completing the post-MUA rehabilitation program, it's very common that our patients say to us, hey, I can play ball with my kid again. Hey, I can bowl again. Hey, I can enjoy hiking again. This is what makes it rewarding to us as practitioners. Stretching under...
Welcome back to Long Island in Crisis. And we are discussing really grief tonight and how to deal with it, and how not to deal. You know, you have to deal with it,
right,
one way or another. So I often, you know, I could have been given any number of prescriptions, Valium, Ambien, whatever it is, to help me sleep, to help me relax, to help me cope. I could have drank, and no one ever would have criticized me.
Right.
But I thank God every day that I didn't choose to do any of those things, because at the end of 3 months, 3 days, 3 years, if I had masked what I was feeling by going to something else, I still have to sit through my grief.
Right.
I'm always going to have to sit through life.
Right. All of that stuff is just postponing it.
Yes.
Putting it off. It's not.
You know, your choice to have a glass of wine or to have a drink should be one of happiness.
Right.
I'm having a beautiful dinner. You know, and I want to enhance my that should be a reason for drinking.
Right. But when you're using it as a crutch or as a dependent thing, it's another story.
Exactly. And if I need a pill to get up in the morning to get me through my day of work, and then one to turn me off when I come home, then what have I done with my life?
Right. Although, when there's a serious depression, antidepressants, I'm not talking about Xanax, we don't want to take that kind of stuff long term, you know, tranquilizers and things. Maybe even need that temporarily, you know.
I would never criticize anybody.
Right.
For me, it didn't work.
It didn't, no, right. And antidepressants can really help you through a rough time.
Yes.
If you're at the point of that type of depression, which is completely understandable.
Absolutely.
You were able to look and say, what really will help me? What can I do to help me? And you found things to do, right?
Yoga again was like, and I found a whole new studio.
Did you do yoga before?
I did do yoga before, but I also knew that it would be a moving meditation for me.
Right.
And it would just be healthy.
Right.
You know, and that's
it's a coping skill that has no negatives.
Skills. Yes.
Right.
So, as I said, I went to a brand new studio where I didn't know anybody, because I didn't want to walk in and have somebody give you the face. So they look at you and they go, it's, you know, and that would really aggravate me.
Right.
Because don't give me the face. Come over and just say, hey, how you doing today?
Right. It shows how much people don't know what to do. And we've talked about that a little. And I think that should be part of this show also, you know, is trying to get other people comfortable with what really they need to do to support.
It's an uncomfortable situation. It's always going to be an uncomfortable situation.
Exactly, right.
Be uncomfortable.
Allow that.
Allow yourself to be uncomfortable and just say, I don't know what to say to you. Right. That's a good thing to say. Right.
Did you ever feel that people disappeared, left?
You know, it's funny because of awkwardness, and I think that's the word. They're awkward, with their own feelings.
Right, and I like the way you're saying it, because a lot of times people get so angry at the other person for saying the wrong thing, and that's understandable too. It's all understandable. All feelings are understandable, but the reality is they're not trying to hurt you. They just don't know.
They just don't know what to say.
Right.
They just don't know what to say.
Especially when you're talking about the loss of a child.
Yeah, especially that.
Right.
So, you know, for me, when people say inappropriate things, I let them know that they said inappropriate things.
Right.
Because I'm not going to squash my own feelings then.
And they need a little education.
And they need a little education.
Right.
And it's all in the presentation, so you can just say, I wish, you know what, my dad used to use the line from Bambi, if you don't have anything nice to say, say nothing. So if you
it's a line we've all used, right? Yeah,
but if you don't know what to say,
right,
a handshake, a hug, you know, call me, we'll have coffee.
Right. I know that a lot of times that we were talking about a little bit how people will say, if you need anything.
Right.
Right, if you need anything, let me know. And then people say, oh, they say that, and then they disappear.
Exactly.
Right, and that's very true. And some people may just be saying it just to say it, but there may be other people that really mean it and don't know what to do. So it's also important while you're grieving to reach out and to say, you know, can you meet me for a cup of coffee?
I would love, yeah, right. I would love if you could just come over and spend a half an hour with me. Would you go for a walk with me?
Right.
Would you do any of those things?
Absolutely, right.
But you have to, you know, people are not mind readers, and everyone gets busy with life.
Right.
And your life, when this happens, kind of just stops.
Right, yes.
And you focus.
Frozen.
Right.
Right.
And for that first year, you're counting how many days it's been. You're counting where you were 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Right.
You know, everything goes back to that day.
It must feel like a haze, like the year went by, but you were in a fog.
It's surreal.
Right.
It's surreal, and you want to wake up.
Right.
So you're kind of just going through, like, I can't believe that Thanksgiving is here, and
right.
I can't believe the holidays are here. You know, and I shared with you, like with my own family, and I'm the youngest of 5.
Right.
So my brothers would say, well, you have to come for Christmas. I don't have to do anything.
Right.
And I'm telling you I can't. And I'm not going to come to make you feel better.
Right.
Because you don't want me to be home alone.
Right.
It's okay for me to be home alone, because that's where I need to be.
Right. I mean, in general, in life, we need to prioritize ourselves and say what we need.
Yes.
But in this situation, tenfold.
Tenfold.
You know, where we need to say, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I just have to do this.
Right. And you also don't have to say, I need to be home so I'll have everyone over. No. You got to keep the stress and the anxiety off you as much as you can.
Right. And
You
it's hard.
want to have people over? Great. Everybody bring a dish. I'm not going to cook.
Right.
I'm not going to be that person that's going to, you know, because you need to allow for the emotional upset that's going to happen. It's not if it's going to happen. It's going to happen, especially around those holidays.
Right.
So as much as you want to say, I can do this,
Right.
don't make yourself do it.
Right. The word you used before is I want. And that's really the key, to figure out what you want.
Right.
Some families, I don't know if you had that in your family, they really, really push.
Yes.
And it can be, you know, another added stress, you know, turmoil can go on. You know, we need, you know, it's been a year. Come on, you need to do this. You need to do that, whatever. So it's hard. You have to really stand your ground.
My oldest brother, I guess it was around the holidays, and he said, come on, you know, Linda, it's okay. You can. And I said, you know what? I think that I am handling this really well.
Right. Right.
And I have stepped out, and I have stepped up, and I have done all of that.
Right.
So you need to allow me to know what I am capable of doing.
Right. And you're right, you have handled it really well.
You know, and that I'm not going to judge myself. You know, you just need to be where you are when you're there.
Right.
I also have learned, because I do a lot
Right.
when I need to be quiet.
Right.
When I know that I need to be quiet
Time out.
for 3 days, and I will disappear, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I need to be by myself, and I need to let my soul
Right.
heal.
Right.
Again, I need to give myself time and rest to allow that to happen again.
Right. Right.
And it's not a criticism. It's not, oh, you did too much. No, I just need to be.
Right. The best is that you know it and that you then do it.
That's the key. You need to do it. You
right?
need to step
It's
back.
2 different stages.
Yeah.
Awareness of what we need and then allowing ourselves to have it.
And if anybody really coming through any kind of grief, anybody else's expectations of you don't matter.
Right.
I don't care what anybody thinks. I
Right.
really don't, because
Right.
they're not walking in my shoes.
Yeah.
So I
agree.
can say to another parent that's lost a child, what worked for me,
Right.
because maybe that will help them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. I mean, I know people that want to go to the cemetery. That gives them a peaceful place to be. You know, I know Thomas
was cremated.
So, and then other people don't want to go there.
Right.
And then, you know, people will say, you haven't been to the cemetery? It's such a personal decision about what feels right in here.
And that's the only key that you ever need to worry about.
That's your guide.
That's your guide.
Right.
If something agitates you and you get that anxious feeling that you don't want to do it,
right,
then don't do it.
Right.
That's the biggest gauge of anything.
We were talking a little bit about, you know, what happens when another wake comes up or another funeral, and it's all these nerves are being hit. You can say no, you know. It can be re-traumatization to be going there.
Absolutely.
Experiencing that again. And it's okay to say no.
And that can set you back.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna talk about that a little bit more in 1 minute.
Okay.
We'll be right back after this message.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
What are you looking for? You don't even know that. Are you on the ball list? So you can't even answer. I'm asking you about it. You gotta be highly skilled. You gotta be highly skilled. You understand that? Are you sick? Are you well versed there? Are you very smart man? Hit me with some funny shit. My shit's twisted. Tell me something. Tell me something. What do you have right there?
That's awesome.
Well,
that's a big.
That's nice.
You know damn well. You know damn well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's
awesome. Sir. Are you interested in
Twisted
not?
Talent.
Yes, I am. Sure.
See, you got twisted.
That's twisted. That's talent.
You see what I'm saying? You understand me? And if you can't whip out answers like that, that man is liable to go to commercial break, punch your fucking mouth loose. You understand me? Time is up, sir. You understand me? You're on. You're the man. All right, give me your name now. I'm sorry.
My name is Willie.
Willie, where you working at?
We are twisted. We are awesome. Love it.
Can you repeat that question again?
You know you already want a Toyota, but when you want more from your Toyota store, you want Smithtown Toyota, where every Toyota comes with Smithtown Toyota's Toyota for Life program, giving you lifetime New York State inspections, lifetime 10% discounts on all parts and service, 2 years of complimentary oil changes, 2 years of scheduled maintenance, and more, all at no cost to you, plus low clear-out deals on every Toyota in stock. Get more from your Toyota store. Hurry to Smithtown Toyota.
Hi, I'm Tom Mealy from Madhousetv, and when I'm not at the studio, I'm here at the Harrison Law Group. This is my real job. And this January 2015, Brett and I are putting together a show called Legal Straight Talk. It'll be aired on Cablevision as well as here at Madhousetv. You need to tune in. This information that we're going to be giving the public is the real deal. It's all about what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So tune in this January 2015 for a new episode of Legal Straight Talk.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is me, GMC, in the place to be, the greatest MC in history. There will never be an MC greater than me. And right about now, the only place for you to be is with the one and only Madhousetv. You are the man.
Welcome back to Long Island in Crisis. And so we're talking about, you know, the holidays are coming, and don't be afraid, I guess, and let me know your thoughts. I find it, I love when people say, hey, remember the time that Thomas did, or, you know, how are you feeling? And let me share. Because there are moments in time, you know, when we all have them as parents, when you see a child doing something that your child maybe used to do, or just whatever's going on, and get those moments. I get those moments all the time with all 3 of my children.
Right, right.
But especially in tune with Thomas because I miss him.
Right.
So don't ever be afraid to bring up their name.
Right.
Because I wouldn't trade 1 second of my life if it meant not going through all the pain that I've gone through losing him if I never would have had him.
Right.
Because his life was so much bigger and is so much bigger than his death.
Right.
And I never would have experienced all the joy that he brought me.
Right.
So that's not a compromise that I'm ever willing to make. It's never even a thought in my mind.
Right.
So I'd much rather think about the hugeness of his life
right.
than of
He's
his
in
death.
here.
He's with me every step of the way. And
Right.
you can't ever
He's
take
alive in here. So you want to talk about that, and you want to share that, and you want to express it. You're feeling
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yes.
We all need it, right?
And I do it with my other kids. 'Cause
Right.
sometimes I just want them to know it's okay to talk about him with me too.
Right. Yeah. And how is it with the siblings?
You know, they are on their own journey. And as a parent, that's so tough.
Right.
Because the one thing you want to do is to make your kids okay.
Feel better. You want to
And
fix
not,
it all. Yeah.
and you don't want them to go through things.
Right.
I have no control over their grief journey.
Right. You're absolutely right.
So all I can do is give a hug and say, I miss him. I miss him.
If you need me, I'm here.
Exactly. You know, my youngest son found his brother, and every morning I think about that because I know that every morning he thinks about that.
Right.
You know, is it as strong as it was? Isn't, you know, and for me, I have to walk that walk too. How many times do I ask him?
Right. Right.
How many times do I not ask him?
Right. Right.
You know, he turned 21, Andrew did, in January.
Right.
And he was angry and he was sad and he cried and he had a bad day because he wanted his brother to be there on his 21st birthday.
Of course, right.
But he moved through some big time grief that day.
I'm sure, right.
Because he had no choice but to sit in it.
Right.
So we can't fix this for our kids either.
Right.
We can make suggestions.
Absolutely.
But at some point in time, they have to deal with what they're feeling.
Right. I think making sure that the house is open to just
to talking
about it. Not, once again, not squashing it, not, oh, I don't want to bring it up because I'm going to make the other person upset, you know, and that's hard because we're all protecting each other, and especially as a mom, you're protecting your kids.
So, you know, one day Andrew came home and I had on Tom's sweatpants, Tom's sweatshirt, and I wear his Yankee hat backwards. And
Is that how he wore it?
You know, and visibly I had been crying.
Right.
And I'll never forget, because he stood there and he goes, hi, Mom.
Right.
You all right? And I just said, I'm having a bad Thomas day.
Right.
And he came over and he gave me a hug. Do you need me for anything?
I love it.
I go, no.
Right. You have to go through it
I'm going
yourself.
through, right. So I think that everyone needs to acknowledge that for themselves.
Right.
You're having a bad day, allow yourself to have a bad day. And do what you got to do.
Yeah, and what he did was he supported you.
Yes.
He supported you in your journey, in what you know, in what your needs, right?
Yeah.
He didn't say, don't do that. He supported you. And that's really great.
Just,
really
you
great.
need anything? I'll give you a hug.
Right.
Because that's the language that we all know.
It's a great way to show how much you love somebody and how much you care.
So I think,
Powerful.
you know, for anybody that's going through this, allow yourself to be there. When do you really see the need? You know, are there some signs that people should be looking for as to when they should really seek professional help?
I mean, I think if it's interfering with functioning,
daily life.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big sign there. You know, if a person's not having a hard time getting out of bed, or they're angry all the time and there's fighting going on in the house. You know, anything to, you know, a degree of you know, interfering with interpersonal relationships, with your job, with a lot of things. I mean, and we know that things are going to change and things are going to interfere. You know, it's not like you're going to go back to work the next day and everything's fine. But, you know, if it's continuing and there's no up and down, you know, I don't even want to say improvement because I think the improvement of behavior takes so long and it is so up and down.
Yes.
But if it's just kind of flat and keeps going and staying there and no change, or it even goes down, then
or
it's
if
the
you
time.
just, you know, if you feel that you need to talk to someone,
go for it.
Just go talk to someone.
Right.
Because much better for someone to say, what you're feeling is perfectly normal.
Right.
Because sometimes all you need to hear is what you're feeling is
perfectly normal. Right.
Because you've never walked this walk before.
Right. Right. And we do question it. Is this okay?
Is this
right?
okay? There is no, first off, there's no book.
Right.
There's no book. There's no, you know, there's no guidelines as to in 3 months you're going to be over it.
Boom, 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 this is going to happen. No.
It's your walk.
Right. Yeah, so validation that whatever you're feeling is okay. You know, I'm feeling distracted or I can't concentrate. Oh, that's part of it? Wow, right? That's really validating.
You know,
to hear.
it is. You need validation that it's okay that I feel this way.
Right. And also the reality is sometimes it is hard to share it with family members or people that are close to you because you are protecting them, you know, and you don't want to burden them, even though it's not a burden, but you know, like you said, people go on with their lives and it's 6 months later and you're still feeling this. Go reach out, you know.
You know, and sometimes family members, unfortunately, may want to tell you, you know, what they want you to feel.
They want to fix it for you, but also for them.
Absolutely.
It's too connected. That's the whole, you know, one of the biggest points of therapy is having somebody just, you know, separate from all the emotion to be able to just, you know, tell them anything and no judgment.
Right, no judgment, and they're separate. They don't, you know, they're just going to help you.
Right, it's all about you.
Through your walk. You know, separate from anything else.
Right.
There may be things that you can't share with your family, your spouse included.
Absolutely.
And that's okay.
There may be things that you want to say that you know, you're afraid if you say it. But everybody's thinking it, but you know, you're not going to say it. Like, I'm angry. How could he have done this? Or whatever it is, right?
Whatever it is.
Or I should have done this, or, you know, whatever is going on.
That's, you know what, we're going to have you back because I know that parents feel that they've done something wrong. And the biggest thing that you need to do is forgive yourself.
Right.
For anything that you think you should have done or didn't do, or if I had only done this, you can't do that.
Right. Well, first of all, we've all done things wrong.
Yes.
Let's be realistic. As parents, I joke around, I'm a therapist, I joke around, my kids are going to be in therapy. I'm sure I did something when they were young that, you know, they're like, oh God, my mom, blah, blah, blah.
You know how I like to say to people is, you did the best you could at the moment in time you were, with the knowledge you had at the moment in time you were.
Right. People say sometimes, did you do your best? Yes, that's all you can do.
That's all you can ever do.
Right? With what you have. That's all you can do.
So I think it'll be great. Maybe we can even, would you come back?
I would love to come back.
Yeah, I think it would be important. And I think it's important next time to also talk about families in crisis during addiction.
Okay, fine.
You know, I hope I know this show was beneficial to someone tonight. And I feel all the parents that are going through this. And please, if you want to private message me on the Facebook page for Thomas's Hope, we can get you Millie's information. And I will put it up on Thomas's Hope Facebook page. She's a wonderful therapist. If if you're not close to that location, please just message me and we can help you find services where you are.
Reach out.
Reach out. And if I can help you
Don't
in any way,
suffer in
shape, or
silence.
form, I will call you,
Right.
and I will help you, move through anything, and that we can help you through. You're not alone in the process. I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and have a great week. And please, look us up again, and we'll get you any information that you need. Have a great week.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.